Millions of people spend their entire lives locked in a frustrating cycle. They decide to finally get into shape, they cut out every unhealthy food, and they hit the gym every single day. And within a few weeks, they collapse under the weight of their own expectations, retreating right back to their old habits. This is the universal failure cycle. We spend 40 years building a specific set of deep-rooted behaviors, and then we try to undo all of them in a 21-day burst of total war. We treat personal transformation as a test of raw, brute force effort. But researchers at Stanford University studying habit formation have identified a major problem with this approach. They discovered that the human brain actively and intensely resists sudden, massive behavioral shifts. This diagram maps the intensity of a lifestyle change against your brain's built-in threat detection system. Your nervous system doesn't view a drastic shock to your daily routine as self-improvement. It interprets that sudden lack of calories or extreme physical stress as a literal biological threat. Once that neurological alarm sounds, your brain takes defensive action. It will aggressively drain your daily willpower reserves to force you to stop whatever you are doing. The moment those reserves hit zero, your ambitious new routine crashes back to its original baseline. This reveals a strange paradox. If applying maximum effort directly triggers biological resistance, then extreme discipline is actually counterproductive. The only effective way to bypass your brain's defenses is to do something ridiculously small. Rapid, aggressive self-improvement is an inherently flawed methodology. Your body is biologically engineered to ensure that it fails. Consider the clinical case of Christopher. He was a 40-year-old man who weighed 142 kilos and had failed every major diet he tried. Desperate, he consulted a doctor who prescribed a shockingly tiny intervention: drink a single glass of water every morning. That was the entire program. This radar visualization shows exactly why such a tiny intervention succeeds. A microscopic behavior, like drinking water, registers as a tiny blip on the brain's radar. It slips directly past the sweeping threat detectors without triggering a single biological alarm. Curious, slightly slower. This is the core mechanism behind Kaizen. Kaizen is a Japanese philosophy defined by the practice of exponential, 1% daily continuous improvement. It focuses entirely on microscopic changes that compound over time. Christopher's glass of water functions as a keystone habit, a foundational behavior that triggers a cascade of other positive changes. By drinking that water every day for 2 weeks, Christopher proved to his own brain that he was finally capable of keeping a microscopic promise. Establishing that tiny baseline of trust created natural momentum. Soon, Christopher was easily applying Kaizen to his meals, voluntarily leaving half the food on his plate. Then he added movement, walking just 20 meters to his mailbox and back. Hacking your habits is a stealth operation. You don't endure a grueling test of physical fitness. You quietly and consistently prove to your nervous system that change is safe. 3 months in, Christopher had lost 14 kilos. But then came the holidays, a massive family dinner full of social pressure. He broke his daily routine, overate entirely, and felt the heavy, familiar sensation of failure. The typical reaction to this moment is absolute defeat. We assume the streak is broken, the effort is ruined, and we might as well give up completely. But long-term behavioral engineering anticipates this exact scenario. This introduces the Japanese concept of wabi-sabi. Wabi-sabi is a Japanese aesthetic and philosophical principle that celebrates imperfection and recognizes that nothing is ever permanent or complete. It accepts that a flawless behavioral streak is a complete myth. There is a vast difference between a stumble and a fall. When you stumble, you lose your balance for a second. When you fall down, you stop moving entirely. Overeating at one dinner is a stumble. Christopher didn't abandon his progress. The morning after his stumble, he woke up and drank his glass of water. Returning to that microscopic baseline habit immediately after a failure actually reinforced his brain's neural pathways for consistency. His mind learned that they no longer quit. They simply returned to the routine. True psychological resilience ignores the illusion of a perfect streak. It is built by mastering the art of the imperfect return. By maintaining these microscopic adjustments, the exponential math of Kaizen takes over. Over 18 months, Christopher lost 52 kilos. 30 months of unbroken consistency yields vastly different results than a 30-day crash diet. Academic data supports this philosophical shift. A neuroscientist at the University of London studying self-discipline found that relying on raw effort is entirely unsustainable over long periods. The study revealed that permanent transformation only occurs when a behavior transitions from an exhausting daily action to an automatic identity. Christopher succeeded because he stopped trying to lose weight and simply became someone who takes care of themselves. This transition relies heavily on Ikigai. Ikigai is a Japanese concept that translates roughly to your reason for living, or your deep underlying purpose. Christopher's Ikigai involved being physically capable of playing with his children and walking his daughter down the aisle. A number on a scale is just a superficial metric. The weight was an obstacle blocking his ability to live out that purpose. Willpower drains from the moment you wake up. Purpose provides an infinite fuel source that outlasts any temporary discomfort. We can observe the result of these microscopic habits operating at scale in Okinawa, Japan. Okinawa is one of the world's blue zones, specific demographic regions where populations live measurably longer, healthier lives than anywhere else on Earth. The people here do not engage in intense, modern gym routines, nor do they follow highly restrictive crash diets. Their nutrition is built on a traditional, moderate approach to portion control. Their exceptional longevity stems from the slow, consistent application of very simple principles. They prioritize eating until they are 80% full, maintaining constant, gentle movement throughout their day, and staying deeply integrated within their community. So here is the challenge for you. Identify the single most ridiculously microscopic change you can commit to tomorrow morning. 1 glass of water, 1 minute of meditation, 1 single push-up. Maintain this single, tiny habit every day for exactly 14 days. These 2 weeks serve to prove to your nervous system that you are capable of keeping a promise to yourself. You do not need to destroy your old self overnight. You simply need the patience to slowly build a new identity, one microscopic choice at a time.